Hi and welcome everyone, let's go and check out my February reading plan. So I think the thumbnail for my January MBR read Revenge of the Ark because I had not only a number of arcs to get through in January, but some of them were real beefy buggers. So it was going to take up a lot of my time. This month was going to be Return of the TBR, but it's not necessarily worked out that way because again, I've ended up with some arcs, some of them that I haven't finished from the original January plan, and another one that's just come in kind of out of the blue. So let's start off with them. The follow-up, not the follow-up, the leftover from the January plan was one that I was probably expecting to leave over because I wasn't going to fit all of the arcs in January, and this one had the longest release date. I had the most lead time on it, so I could leave it a little bit later. And this one is the Shadow Casket by Chris Wooding. This is book 2 of the Darkwater Legacy, following up the Ember Blade. So this one comes out on the 16th of February, which is why I was leaving it until last before getting into it. Now, I don't really know too much about the storyline of this book. I just know that I had a really good time with the Ember Blade and I'm looking forward to continuing the story. I did listen to the Ember Blade though, so it's going to be a bit different, but as long as the characters are there and as long as my memory holds them there, I'm going to be using the voices that I got from the audio when I'm reading this book digitally. So we'll see how it goes. It's another chunky one. It's about 800 and something pages, but well, I'm definitely used to that. You know that I like big books anyway, but yeah, my January, I think at the moment with a couple of days left to the end of the month and maybe another book therefore to be finished, my January average page count was something like 750. So yeah, it's a chunky old start to the year and it's not exactly over yet. The second arc that I picked up was a bit of a surprise one. I wasn't expecting this, but I had a conversation on Goodreads with the author and he offered me a copy, and I didn't quite bite his hand off, but I definitely took him up on that. So this is The Bloody Chorus by John Marco. This is one that I've not really heard a lot about. I've just seen the cover start to pop up and it's definitely helping to draw the attention to the book. It does sound quite interesting though. I'll read the synopsis very quickly off Goodreads. So it's 2 empires, one in decline, the other ascendant, and hungry for conquest. Upon his father's mysterious assassination, young Haru reluctantly becomes ruler or Tain of his once fearsome island nation. Threatened by a world they once dominated, Haru's people, the Kryori, struggle with the peace the old Tain championed, nostalgic for the violent glories of the past. But across the ocean, an alliance of old enemies has formed, led by a madman bent on righting old wrongs. Enigmatic and fanatical, Reyes decries the Kryori and their living gods, determined to erase their influence and beliefs. Now Haru must get justice for his murdered father and defend his people from the coming scourge from over the sea. Promising his ancient grieving goddess to kill Reyes, he reunites his father's failed circle of protectors, a magical band of avenging misfits known as the Bloody Chorus. Now this one does sound interesting to me. I like that premise, and many years ago I did read some of John Marco's work, the Tyrants and Kings trilogy, and I did quite enjoy them. They were very in-depth, very detailed military fantasy with a good spattering of magic through there as well, and that's why I got this review copy, because I just mentioned it to the author when he commented as I put this book on my to reads list. So I'm looking forward to this one, not only to see how the writing has evolved over the 20 or so years since I read Tyrants and Kings, but also because it just sounds like a really good book for me. Next on my reading list is another review copy. Actually, I've had this one for a little while from the author and I said I'd get to it towards the start of the year, so here I am with Springtide Harvest by J.D. Mitchell. This is one that I've heard a few people who've read it and they say that it's a good one that maybe is slightly more towards the younger audience, but I'll see how it goes. Those comments that I have heard about it though do say that it's definitely one for all ages rather than just being specifically young or new adult, I think is the term that was used for it. The synopsis for this one: the old world is dead. Worse, it was a lie. Haskell wants to be a legend, a hero like his grandfather who broke the Orcish hordes. Froba just wants to survive and stay ahead of her cruel master, a corrupt god who makes her grift naive adventurers. Froba knows what Haskell doesn't, that the deck is stacked against them and there are no heroes left in the world. Aided by a cheerful band of misfits, Haskell must survive a monster-infested forest and the exploitative treasure-hunting guild founded to clear it, while Froba must decide where her loyalties lie, with her carefree Mark or her cunning master, if fierce woodland monsters don't devour them first. So it does sound interesting. As I say, I've heard some good things about this one and I'm looking forward to finding out for myself. It's very blindingly white. That doesn't show up very well, I don't think, on the video, but those pages are very, very white. That's just a random aside. It's not going to affect my enjoyment of the book, obviously, but I'll let you know about this one in a month or so. And then I've got a couple of audio buddy reads coming up. So one, I'm still working my way through the War Eternal by Rob J. Hayes, and there's a few of us on my Discord who are doing the same, and we've got together and we're going to do book 4 in February. So this is Sins of a Mother. I love this hardback copy, it's absolutely beautiful. This was a gift from my good friend and Patreon, Tufty McTavish, so thank you very much, Tufty. But I am going to listen to this one and keep this one as a virgin copy on my shelf. I love the audio for this series. It's been doing really, really well for me, so I'm really looking forward to continuing. And then I'm going to read book 5, the final book in the series, in the coming months as well, so I can get this one as a tick in my completed series list. And then the other one that I'm going to be listening to is a buddy read with my book bestie Nina. We're going to be continuing The Expanse. So this was one that was on my list for last year and I just didn't get to it at all. But now it's not on my list for 2023. I'm going to get to it. So I'm going to do book 2, which is Calibans War. It was a long, long time. I think it was, I can't remember what month, but it was back in 2018 that I read Leviathan Wake. So it's been a good long time now, but I'm happy to be continuing. I have seen the series and I did find that book, or series 1, season 1, went a little bit slowly. It was more the kind of detective noir kind of feel to it. And then it started to pick up from season 2 onwards. So I'm hoping that's going to be the same with the book, although I did enjoy the book. I know that there's obviously a loose kind of following with the TV show and the different seasons that they had. But either way, although I know the story, or at least the TV show story, I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to have that same thing, especially when listening to it, because I'm not going to have Avasarala, for instance, that beautiful voice in my head, but I don't actually know what the audio is like. I've not previewed it yet, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a good audio for me, irrespective of the voices that I already have in my head from the TV show. So that's 5 books that I've planned in. As usual, I do then have, if there's time, a bit of additional. I've got plenty of books to choose from. And if I just grab it, I do also have my TBR jar. So I've redone this because I realised that the small bits of paper which I did for making sure there was lots of room in here, it didn't show up very well under my ring light. So I've got a new jar. I redid it after editing that video and seeing how it came out. Let's find what it's going to do for me this month. Last month it wasn't necessarily great for me. I wanted a kind of a shorter book because I was going to be a bit stacked for January, and I ended up coming out with A Fool's Hope, which is about 700 pages. I am still listening to that one at the moment. It did just sneak in to the end of my January reading, but I might not finish it in January, so that one might be carried over to the start of February. I'm not sure yet. So let's have a look what we got in here. I'm not going to put any stipulations on it. Last time I wanted an audio because I was going to be a bit stacked with the ARC ebooks, but no such requirement this time. Let's see what we have. I think there's 2 in there. Pop that one back in and we will have The Crew by Sadir S. Samir, and I knew this was going to be the case. It's all the way over there, so I'm just going to go and dive and grab it. So where last month the book that was picked out was literally here on the shelf, it's still sitting right next to me because I'm listening to it. It was only going to be a matter of time before I was finding one that was out of reach, and it came up on the second go. So this is The Crew by Sadir S. Samir, and I don't really know much about this. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. Whether it's just because of the shape of the building, the roof in the background there, people are talking about onions. I guess I'm going to find out. So this one, I think, is a bit of a heist story. This ain't a job for the good guys, it says. Volcade fled to the deserts of Harar to escape his past as an educator, a member of an order of zealot warrior monks that aims to shape the world according to their sacred teachings by force. Volcade makes his living as a reckless sword for hire, caring only about himself, until his self-centered lifestyle is turned on its head when he is contracted to recruit a misfit team of unruly assassins and take out the mighty Bone Lord of Akrab. But the Bone Lord is aware of a plot and sends her band of dusters to stop them. Individuals who have gained bizarre and lethal magical powers by snorting the pulverized bones of dead gods. Hunted by educators and dusters in a city-state where an escalating conflict between the human and demon population threatens to boil over in a civil war, will Volcade and his ragtag crew save Akrab from the cruel Bone Lord, or will they make things even worse? So yeah, looking forward to trying this one out. Again, it's another one that's a beautiful hardback with the foiled boards there. I've got a nice little bookmark, which I'll just go and find page 1 and stick it in there, ready for me to start off with this one in February. So there we go, that's my February plan. We'll see how I get on with this lot, and I may add some additional reads in there, but yeah, it depends on how they go. It'll probably be audio reads, and what I'll do is I'll maybe pick one from the jar again if I do find that I've got space for an extra audio book or an extra digital or physical read at the end of the month. Let me know in the comments down below what you think I'm going to enjoy out of this month's reading. What are your plans for February as well, and your most anticipated reads? I'll catch you in the next video sometime soon, but until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.